With this project, I'll be talking about the augmented and virtual reality of Blacksburg 16 squares. This research project is about an area in Blacksburg, the original foundation of the city, developed by William Black. The images that we see right now is just kind of an outline of his vision. He wanted to develop 16 squares, the original foundation of Blacksburg, and develop into a town. Here's some early drawings of what the town and what the vision of what William Black wanted to develop as a city. Here are some original drawings of what his vision was, to break it up into 16 squares and then sell off each of the portions of those squares. As you can see, these are historic photos from the 16 squares of Blacksburg, Virginia. You can see it slowly developing over time, all the way up to present day. What you see now today is Blacksburg 16. Here's a modern view of 16 squares. This is from Google Earth, and I've pared it down into a simple PDF format. And so what I did is use this as a grid to demonstrate how many buildings were in the area today. Here we have Matthew Swartz from Georgia Tech helping us with some photogrammetry. So we developed a system using a GoPro to do photogrammetry of the area. You can see Matthew programmed a flight pattern to go up and down the streets. And using these photos from the GoPro, we developed a 3D terrain. Again, it was a programmed flight just going up and down the city. So the flight was less than 10 or 15 minutes, and we developed over 500 photos. Using Agisoft, we fed it into a computer to develop some 3D terrain. This is what you see here. So using this 3D terrain, this was our basic building block for terrain data, and also where buildings and building height and where trees are located in the area. So over the past year and a half, I've had over 6 to 8 students involved with 3D modeling each of the buildings. Due to the rough photogrammetry data acquired from the quadcopter, we had to go back and redo all the buildings to make sure they're sharp and clear for the augmented and virtual reality. Also, we wanted to make the polygon count very low. So you can see the students go out into the area, take photos, and then bring it into SketchUp to really get a really quick low polygon mesh. Then the students take this into Maya and then model them out and texture them out so they're very lightweight, so we can put them into game engines or even UC Winroad. So each student takes up to 12, even up to 30 hours on each of these buildings. Some of these buildings, like the church here, are very complex and take very long time to model. So the idea is also to later on take this into the MakerBot and then 3D print all 96 buildings in the 16 squares. So this is a major undertaking. This has been funded by the seed grant from ICAT and also from other private sponsors helping us pay the students' fees to do the modeling. A lot of the students are undergrad and also graduate students from the School of Visual Arts here at Virginia Tech. So we're about almost a halfway point with our models. we still have 50 more to go to model the whole modern day 16 squares. As you can see, each of these models are different. Each one has a different look and a different sense of time and period to them. Some of these are private homes, and some of these are residential dwellings. Again, here's another church. There's about 6 or 7 churches in the area. So again, these are probably the most difficult to model due to all their different shapes. So part of the process also was to take the Faro 3D scanner and scan the original William Black house. This was a big undertaking. It took about 16 or 18 scans, and we tied them together into a point cloud. So we will take this into geometric wrap and then turn this into a mesh and then retope the surface. This will be the crown jewel of the whole project, so this is going to take a long time to retope and then remodel. So we're keeping this for one of the last projects to work on. So you can see really quickly lots of little intricate details on this house. So one of the things I wanted to do is take the terrain data and also the geographic data that we got from the photogrammetry and set up terrain data and also kind of blocks for these houses to go onto so that we can see them. So here I'm taking out the buildings and then putting the modeled buildings that the students did. This terrain will be simplified, and then using the game engine, we'll put in 3D trees. So you can see lots to do. So after downsampling the terrain data, basically retopologizing the area to a really simple 3D terrain, I also added simple blocks to where the buildings were, the original building based on the photogrammetry. So this was helpful so we can set up scale and ratio for each of these buildings. So you can see each of these little blocks will be used when we CNC, so it's a nice flat surface that we can put the 3D models on. So after breaking each of these 16 squares into single blocks, you can see right here, if I click on to the surface, it's a very, very simple surface, all one polygon face. I then export this out as a STL file, and then we can CNC the part. So here at Virginia Tech, we have a CNC cutting machine that can do XYZ and 18 inches on the Z-axis or for the plunge rate. So you can see really quickly how quick and easy it is to cut the terrain, and you can see the flat blocks there where we're going to put the building. So this is kind of a slow process. This is a test mock-up so we can see what it's going to look like, see if this is going to work properly. Make sure we have scale and ratio correct. So the next part of the process is taking each one of the hand models into the MakerBot software so we can print it out. So for this project, I went ahead and printed out 8 of the main buildings on Main Street just to see how this is going to look. Just going through the process, seeing what's going to work and what's not going to work for detail. So part of the project is sponsored by the NEH grant, and we're going to use 50 MakerBot printers up in Amherst to print out our project. And so this is what the project will look like. It'll be an 8-foot by 8-foot layout where it'll be all 3D printed, and then you'll be able to interact with it with the iPad as an augmented reality experience.